One Flew In Through a Mirror. Chapter 1. I always thought it was interesting how they'd answer the phone. Of course, your average patient would just say hello or occasionally, "Who do you want?" But there was this one high pitched male voice. He took it really seriously, answering the phone, not like everyone else at all, but professional, dignified. "Ward 6," he'd say, like it was his personal assignment to help me. And I liked that because the ones who asked me who I was calling to talk to didn't get it. They were passing on responsibility. I needed a man or a woman of action. I needed a serviceman, a leader, and maybe someone with a sense of humor too. So I got direct and down to it, like I was making cold calls for hire, because pretty much that's what I was doing. "What's your name?" "I'm sorry. Did I not introduce myself?" I liked that too. Before I even b- answered, he told me, "Name's Jewel." "You mean Jule?" I was writing it down in my notebook in my room in my childhood home, a couple of miles from the hospital I was calling to. "Yes. How may I help you, dear?" "I like you, Joel. I've been working on getting in there, and I need someone I can trust to be able to help me." "Then I'm your man. Most everyone else is pretty zoned out on meds right now, at least today. Joel, my name is Bertha, and I'm planning the biggest heist since the Great Mining Robbery. But it's not stealing anything. Basically, I have a way inside, and I need a man on the inside who I can trust, who can get me in." "I know how that can be, Bertha." I loved how he was saying my name, like maple syrup candy, sweet but with character. "Are you in there for a while, do you think, Joel?" "Me? I've been in here for months, and because of loopholes and insurance and the fact of my four major mental illnesses all working together, I think I'll have to stay here for the rest of my life." "You don't have a family on the outside?" "Nope. I'm too ill to ever live on the outside. They put me in an institution, but there's no room, so I'm stuck in this S-hole, probably forever." "What would happen if you caused damage or something in there, like a mirror?" "Oh, damn, you don't want me to do that, do you? Bad behavior definitely gets punished." Then I tried to answer, but I think the line got cut off. Did this Jewel guy hang up on me? Maybe. I waited the next day around the same time and I tried to call again. "What you want?" It was a female voice. "Gimme Jewel," I go. "Bertha?" I really must be his only friend on the outside. Then he says, "Sorry, I got cut off before. Now, what do you want me to do again?" My heart is beating pretty fast already. He actually is willing to do this? "I need you to break a mirror. I have a friend who works in maintenance in there, and he promised to sneak me in. He said he has these big mirror boxes in a warehouse I might fit in. He's retiring and doesn't mind leaving with a bang. Do you think you would be able to break a mirror for me?" "Look, I'll do this for you, but you're gonna have to tell me why you want in a psychiatric ward. You stealing drugs? You getting revenge on somebody?" "No way. I just missed it in there. I tried to get admitted and they said I have to be homicidal or suicidal, and I'm not, I sighed. I wonder if he'd ever believe that. I knew it sounded odd. Well, the whole thing is digital now. They'll just throw you in jail if you have been admitted. If you haven't been admitted. You let me worry about that, Joel. I had a plan I and it had to work. When I really put my mind to something, I could make it happen. And thank goodness Joel was just stuck enough to agree to help me out. Chapter 2. It took a couple weeks on the phone with Joel to really feel we had our plan solidified. The first week, he sounded jittery and excited. By the last day, I was a little worried he was lapsing into a depressive episode and might not be reliable for his part of everything. I had gotten a little intel on him about the worst nurse on him about the worst nurse in the ward, a fat man named Jim Braun, or Mr. Braun, as he liked to be called. Joel had said Mr. Braun worked mornings, and since he was another integral part of the plan, I had to count on Joel's knowledge of things. And I hoped Miss Jim Brown would be working the morning I tried to break in. The problem became I was afraid Joel might get too depressed to carry with the plan, or maybe I was setting off his blues. I didn't want Joel to feel bad. I liked the guy, and I already was having to implicate him. I almost thought I could ask if he could find a replacement, but Joel was solid, and all the other people answering the phone seemed less sharp. So I went to Joel and kept my fingers crossed. It took a month, a lot of talking, sorry, just to make sure Joel knew which day he needed to act. I tell him, okay, Joel, tomorrow I have to get things ready. Then the next day, I need you to break a mirror as early as soon after 6 a.m. as you can. Joel didn't seem to think he could keep that straight. He was like, tomorrow sounds better for me. I'm sure I'd remember tomorrow. It's gonna be the day after tomorrow, and I won't be able to talk tomorrow. Do you think you can get your head together for it? This is important. Why do you say you're doing this again? You sound angry. It only could get back the first version of Joel, that who I had spoken to a couple weeks ago. That was what I needed. Somehow I calmed myself down though. Joel needed reassurance. I tried to sound calm and maybe rekindle the spark we initially had that was driving him to want to do something big for me. I want to meet you, Joel. That seemed to work, but that night and the next night I could barely sleep. Thoughts kept flashing through my head and worried me. What if Joel was just talking to me because he was lonely? What if he never intended to help me at all? What if he got too depressed to help me? What if something else in my plan didn't work? What if I don't want to end up in jail? That was definite. Maybe I shouldn't break in at all, I thought. Most people don't want to spend time in a mental ward, but I had to go through with it for Joel because otherwise he was getting into isolation for committing violence against an object for no reason, and I can't do that to Joel. But lying in bed, I felt lost. I needed to remember my motivation for wanting to be inside the psych ward, as if that desire wasn't real enough to be committed. A couple of years ago, I had had a psychotic episode because my meds weren't adjusted right. Before that, it had been a couple of decades since my last hospitalization, and back then was very young and impressionable adult and also hated the place. But a couple years ago, I felt committed there, community there. Maybe it sounded strange, but I felt a kindred people that seemed like it was all I ever sought in life. For the past 2 years, nothing had felt right because I know that there were people who understand me, people like me, people with major mental illness, but there are some where I am able, but they are not somewhere I am able to go. For for 2 years, I've searched for people, for like people, and come up with nothing. It has been lonesome and sad a couple of years, but not sad enough they'd hospitalize me, I guess. I started to piece together the way into the ward, and somehow I felt better. I felt reassured that I could be a person of people again. Chapter 3. The clock struck midnight the next night. I rode an Uber over to the hospital dressed in two hospital gowns I had previously stolen. Luckily, the Uber driver barely looked at me. He was just like, hi, and then bye, and at least one step without a glitch. I met my friend Maxine in the hospital cafeteria. No one else seemed to look at me or care why I had on the gowns. I guess it's familiar clothing choice for this territory. I'd eat I tried to eat some salad, hoping I wouldn't have to use the bathroom number 2 for the next 6 hours. Then we walked. Then we would walk to the warehouse with the mirrors. She has on a badge that opens doors. I know I'm being seen by cameras, but probably it's normal for a person to have a friend with them. Then I make sure I'm. Then I make sure I'm not near a mirror, and we pretty quietly load me up inside of the box and the mirror in there too, because she's going to have to replace the mirror jewel breaks. Then I have about 4 more hours to wait, totally uncomfortable inside of a sealed box, hoping my two friends outside the box go through with their part of the plan. Also, I don't want to carry a phone with me because phones aren't allowed in the ward, so I don't have a watch, and the hours seem to stretch on, and have no idea of what time it is. A few times I hear voices, and some workers come in and load up their boxes on with dollies. And the box I'm inside isn't very securely closed, and the situation is asking for a panic attack. I'm sure I'd have a few. Then I hear these heavy boots trudge right up to the box, and they're not Maxine's shoes. I know that, but I think I hear her voice. It's a it's a big one and lift. It's Maxine's voice on the backside of me. I hear the skies grunt, and I feel unsteady as they lift me up. In fact, I do move around a little, and I'm amazed that the bootman did not notice something was up. You sure you don't want me to roll it up there with you? I got it, Rich. I'm a feminist, you know. Max is this old hag who's probably never told anyone she's a feminist before, at least as long as I've known her, but the words do the trick. Then, like that, I'm rolling along, and on some dolly I imagine Maxine is pushing. She has to push me through the outside, and I can see that the sun is rising, and that I thought it would be dark when she pushed me out, so I have one more thing to worry about and wonder. The old lady stops for a smoke break, and then I have to just wait. Wait and hope Mr. Braun is on the shift when I get there, and of course that Jewel is okay. Then I realize if there was an order placed for a new mirror, Jewel has broken a mirror, so at least this part of the plan is working so far. Then We're riding up in the elevator 6 floors. Maxine checks herself in through some door, says a familiar hi to some orderlies, uses her badge to push me through the checkpoints, and it seems we're in. A deep voice tells her, It's bathroom 4A. Then finally, the box stops rolling, and all of the things I see Maxine cut me out of the box from the inside, which is terrifying, almost to the worst thing yet. But out of the box, it's just me and Maxine in the room. I hug her and thank her quietly, then walk out into the hall. Welcome, Bertha. Reluctantly, I return the hug of Mr. Braun. Are you going to get me fired? Well, I forgive you, sweetie. Come on. You don't want to be late. I follow him into the main room. Then, where lots of patients, nurses, and doctors jump up shouting, surprise and welcome. And everyone is talking about what we're going to do next. Board games always make me feel comfortable, says the man in the suit. Oh, Dr. Froude. A scantily clad nurse blushes in his direction. I would have guessed you wanted to conduct an orgy. Orgies on Tuesdays, explains an obvious patient. Then a chorus of others. Today is Saturday. We eat cake on Saturday. Well, we'll have a cake. I just meant we were going to do with the cake, says Freud, who then relinquishes control, sitting down. Someone else decide. Where is this place? A confusion of me must show. A middle-aged man comes up to me, puts a comforting hand on my shoulder. I'm Jules. Welcome inside. You're Joel. I thought you were getting sad and worried you were in trouble. Oh no, that was a prank I played on you. I could have told you it is in here, parties and fun, but I had to be certain you were not a reporter. We just almost exclus we just almost exclusively run on government funding, Medicare. So you seem happy. It's good to meet you. Jill smiles, then looks contemplative. I am happy, and I'm grateful. They're letting me stay, even though I feel so much better since the new administration in here. How exactly do things work? Everything is consensus decisions. Well, not the medication decisions, but who's administrating them is entirely voted upon, at least. And that is the last that I wrote of that fiction.